What is up, everybody? It's Dr. Vibe here, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. And once a month, I host conversations for fathers that are co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization, and Dove Men Care. And as always, I like to say you're blessed, highly favored, a magnet for miracles, and a solution for someone's problem. We're broadcasting live on October 29th. Up here in Toronto, it's definitely fall is in the air. I spent this morning raking leaves. Haven't finished all my leaves yet, but we're going to make it happen. And as usual, most Thursday nights, we have these two outstanding Black women dropping knowledge bombs. And there's an event coming up on November 3rd. That's going to be a very interesting event. But you know what? Let me bring them on first. Let me bring with us my two good friends, Aisha K. Staggers and Jill D. Jones. Hey. What's going on, ladies?
Hello.
A lot.
A lot. And Real Django, you're already in the house. Thank you so much, my brother.
Wow. He's there before us.
Yes. And I'd like to thank everyone that's watching this live, or watching it on the replay, or listening it on the replay, and like to say thank you for all your support. And if you have any comments, as always, in real time, drop them in your platform chat section, and the ladies will attack it in a good way. So before we went live, I asked both Aisha and Jill how they're doing, and Jill put up these three things. Can you put those up, Jill? Jill has 3 inhalers, and it's not even.
Yeah, 3. I need one around at all times.
It's not even Wednesday. It's not even Tuesday yet. Will you need to double that on Tuesday?
Probably. I'm already trying to get a refill. It's it's crazy. I hardly use them, and then all of a sudden it's just like, oh, what's happening now?
Well, what if one party wins, you may not be able to afford them in the near future, but that's another conversation.
That's very true. I'm gonna have to stockpile them. Yeah.
Right.
Or
Aisha, how are you? There we go. Aisha, how we doing?
Well, I have learned that Dateline is always on. So, me and Dateline, we rock hard till like 4 o'clock, 5 o'clock in the morning.
Love Dateline. I'm a huge, and that it's been on for like 25 years, hasn't it?
I know. I think so.
Almost.
But at least 25. Yeah. Now, who's your favorite host on Dateline?
I like what's his name? The one that follows me. I can't even remember his name. Josh Mankiewicz.
Josh. Him and his pocket squares.
Yeah, Josh Mankiewicz.
Nice.
I love my Keith Morrison.
I do like Keith Morrison though.
Good guy.
Yeah.
He hosts some of my favorite episodes, though. He does.
Yeah, and his voice, is just.
Oh my God, creepy.
Yeah. It's actually, there's a program that used to be back on many years ago. I don't remember what network it was called. Was it American Justice? And it had Paul Winfield.
Oh, wow. What a
City
great actor.
Confidential.
Yes, yeah, there you go. Wow, what a voice.
Used to come on A&E.
Yeah, thank you. And actually, and love it already. There are already 5 people watching live. 6. It's going to be a fire night, ladies. And actually, City Confidential actually replays. We have a station up here in Canada called Crime Investigation. Maybe you have in the States too. And it on Thursday nights it runs repeats of City Confidential from like 6 to midnight.
Yeah, we have Crime Scene Investigation. That's what. And I catch that. I used to watch it with my dad a lot.
Oh, nice. And actually, another show I love with a voice is it's on CNBC. Is it American Justice? Not American Justice.
We have American Justice.
Is it? It's on CNBC, and Stacy Keach does the narration. Another wonderful voice.
Guys, we have our own Dateline and everything going on every day with the presidency. What do you need those shows for?
To relax.
I gave up those shows. these episodes, this show that we have going has been something else for the last 4 years.
I know we've got drama, we've
Well, I
got
wanted
Trauma,
everything.
everything.
I wanted to lighten the load before the fire starts, right? Just like having a fun conversation, you know.
Oh, Lordy.
So we've got
Like,
drama, theft, everything in this story.
All of it. Everything. We
Corruption,
got sex,
porn stars.
everything. I mean, kids, pedophilia, everything's going on in these things. It's horrible.
Yep.
oh my God.
We've got international escapades, banking. Yeah, everything.
Okay. Well, you know what? The people don't want us to chat the nonsense. They want to get down to the hard stuff, because that's why people are fired up. So, folks, they is ready, and you gotta love actually two more things. You gotta love the Polaroid pink on Jill.
Hey, I was just sweatshirt today, hoodie.
There you go.
Hoodie.
And before we went live, I finally had the chance, the privilege, the blessing to meet Aisha's daughter. And I asked Aisha the big question, who's going to win on Tuesday? And guess what she said? Let's put it this way. You don't have to guess, because if you know Aisha, her daughter would not be living in that house if she said one thing, right? So we won't go any farther. So ladies, let's get it going. Let's get it Let's get it cracking. Let's get our first conversation topic: the American presidential election, the road to 270 electoral votes. What's been going on? What have been your thoughts?
Well, Biden has more roads to 270 than Trump does. Trump can't afford to lose any states, okay, that are in the red category. If you look at an electoral map, that map bleeds red, but mostly what's important to know is that the states that he needs mostly have low counts of electoral votes. The ones that Biden can get, they have higher numbers. What's really interesting this election is that there are states that are in play for Democrats that, just usually would not be, like Georgia. I mean, Georgia, the polls are showing that Biden is ahead. Arizona, they're showing that he's ahead. He even has brought Texas into the realm of where he could actually win Texas possibly. And so he has so many inroads. Donald Trump can't afford to lose Arizona and Texas. He definitely can't afford to lose Florida. And we're supposed to know, Florida promises us that we'll know the night of November 3rd where Florida's electoral votes go. So that's going to be interesting. Pennsylvania, Joe Biden is up in Pennsylvania. And so all of these states where Trump won last time, Michigan, Wisconsin, Pennsylvania, Joe Biden is outperforming him. So, Joe Biden has more of an edge in trying to get to that 270, because whoever gets to 270 first is declared the winner.
Right.
Well, we'll definitely look at this, but we don't do well. I'll let Jill speak, because I have another conversation piece to ask in regards to that night. So, Jill, three inhalers and going. What's been going on since we last chatted?
I think that it's the same thing. I've been doing a lot of deep canvassing, calling some of the people who've been on the fence. They don't know, believe it or not. There's about 3%. I mean, this is a crazy election because we really do have so many people going out in droves voting. We've seen a lot of spikes in the young people. We know that David Hogg, one of the kids from Parkland shooting, has been mobilizing young people. And they had swore, like after the shooting in Parkland, that they were going to, as soon as they could all vote, let their voices be heard. So we're seeing some movement there. That a few days ago, people were really surprised with the numbers of the kids coming in. We do know that we've also got the amazing kids, the BTS Kids, the Korean band, the fabulous band, they've been hijacking everything of the Proud Boys and all the Q anonymous people on TikTok, on Twitter. They've been shutting it down, basically. So we have so many people participating in this election. Yes, Texas is a toss-up, but they are seeing a lot of movement with a lot of more progressive young people who refuse, who finally have seen the light. I think that Trump has made some bad moves and big mistakes towards the end, towards this election. I could tell you from the phone calls that it doesn't really look like there are that many people doing a lot of canvassing for Trump on that area. It kind of feels like he's focused on his base only, which is why there's these high shenanigans for everything. Doesn't look like he's trying to call many more in, but the alarm on that is that means he feels that he's going to be able to steal it with all the other stuff he's kind of keeping rolling along. And we'll be talking about some of that later with what his chess moves have been. I think that we know the 29 vote electoral points in Florida are really crucial. Seeing a lot more Hispanic people pushing towards Trump, which is totally subscribes to a lot of the male macho, let me try to fit in, crabs in a barrel mentality. We often see that a lot with light-skinned male Hispanics. We've seen that with Ted Cruz. We see that a lot with those hierarchies in the color spectrum in cultures. That's nothing new. It's just that's just a headache. It's just basically that exists where people think they can level up and you won't notice. Maybe Donald Trump won't notice that he can't stand me, and it's called passing strange and all that. All of the above, check them all off. That's what they do. And, I'd be very curious, though, with how, since the Pope has come out and not only the Pope condemned Donald Trump, we know in 2016, he tried to warn everybody by saying that Trump was not a Christian. But it will be interesting to see how those Catholics who subscribe to the Pope and his belief on the LGBT and a little bit more fairness and Christian-like behavior of encompassing people as opposed to isolating them. We'll see how they respond. But, that's kind of what I see. Arizona, you're right, is a toss-up. It's been changing for many years now. And then you just have his typical supporters who are going to be there. Our main thing and main objective, I've sent out things to many friends to mobilize their friends, to mobilize their friends. We have to have Joe and Kamala so far up with the points that there's no disputing, because Trump will dispute this. It's a given. I'm already mobilizing some protests already. Just in case. It's better to be prepared that we will be fighting over this. But the reality is, it is so important that everybody get to those polls so that there's not even, they can mince over it, but the margin has to be so big that it's almost so it cannot be contested. That's why it's so critical that absolutely everybody, I'm not saying everybody has to be a volunteer calling people like I've been doing and some of my friends. Just get the 10 people in your circle and get them to mobilize and know this is life or death. It really is.
Yeah, okay. If Joe Biden takes Pennsylvania and Florida that night, it's game over. I mean, we don't even have to see what goes on in the rest of the states. It's game over. Right. If he takes Pennsylvania, Florida, Georgia, and Arizona, that's a slaughter.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, already we have the first question, and this is one of the fans of Jill D. Jones. Galen Bingham is asking, what election day shenanigans do you anticipate?
Oh, they're already asking for retired police officers to go and canvass the polls. They've got people out there trying to film voters to intimidate them. They've got their people out there supposed to go out on November 3rd with the AR rifles and all that in open carry states. So they've got their little ground game of intimidation already planned. They've already got that planned. So those are the shenanigans that I'm expecting to see. The good thing is that people are not playing. You've got the people who really support a free democracy, who want fair and equal voting, who have already mobilized how they're going to counterattack that. I think that people on the Trump side of things have underestimated the the fortitude of people who are trying to vote for Biden and Harris this election season. I think that they don't realize that people aren't afraid. They're more afraid of what happens should Trump get another term. They're not afraid of these little, these little people and their antics. Because the thing is, it's like, what are you going to do? Shoot me? You know, because you can't tell people how to vote. You can't go in the voting booth with them.
You can't even go in the building. I mean,
exactly.
It's that. Here's the deal. My biggest concern on those shenanigans would be, I think white people are more prone to being scared and freaking out about this, because Black people, we've gone through this. Our grandparents have gone through it. Our moms, our dads, they've all gone through this. I often remember a painting that we had in my grandmother's house, which was of the little girl walking and them throwing tomatoes at her. It's a really famous picture. She had like a lithograph or something of it.
Norman
and
Rockwell.
I think that we have to be those kids. We have to embody every single one of our ancestors. They found the burial ground of from Tulsa, of all of our ancestors who were killed in the massacre in Tulsa. And for me, finding that burial ground with 300 or 400 bodies of our Black citizens, who were essentially free, and they were massacred and killed, there should be nothing stopping us. The Proud Boys and those people want to stand in people's faces. If anything, I don't know if they're going to step to too many Black folks. If they do, it's just because they want to rise out of anybody. And that could be a catastrophe, or we have to just get our votes through and then come out later and kick somebody's ass. You know what I'm saying? It's like,
yeah.
No, son, you wait till I get my vote in. I'm coming back out for you. But I'm not trying to rile anything up, but that's where we take in the spirit of a Dr. King. And we really hold this. That is what this is about. This is about maintaining our gains. We don't want as many of us out there, and we want to be not invisible. People who stay home and don't vote with these platitudes of it don't mean nothing, ain't nothing gonna happen. They all the same. No, it's not. This is not. You got to be involved. And if you want to be like a badass, you got to go out there. And if you want to see change, you've got to be a part of it. A lot of times I liken those kind of people to having the same energy of people I don't like to be around. People that don't, that attitude, as soon as I hear somebody go, it's all the same, they're all this, I immediately turn off, because we got one life. I don't know what's here or there after. But the reality is, I'm not going to live my life thinking everything is a devised trap that I can't get out. That's ridiculous. That mentality is gone. It is not the 1960s, as there was a young woman that I put up on my page the other day talking to the Kansas City policeman.
Oh, I saw that. Whoa.
It is not the 1960s, Black folks. This is the 2020.
Wow, that
and
was
we will make
fire.
change.
That was
very
fire.
powerful. I know. It's like this. If your house is on fire and you're on the third floor and the fire started at the bottom, are you gonna, and you're doomed? Are you gonna still not try and get out the house?
I don't know, Aisha. It's all the same fire.
You know you're stuck.
They got it.
This is the same thing. The house is on fire. It has been on fire, and we are on the third floor. We have to try and get out the house. We may hurt ourselves jumping out, but I'm jumping out this house, and I'm taking a whole lot of folks with me, because I'm out there. I'm trying to get the message out to people, and you know, and you just have to remind people, check up on your friends, check up on your family members, encourage them to check up on the people that they know. You got to get people out, because
The disabled, if they need help
yes,
to get there, you
if
know,
people
but I will not be cool about carrying an able-bodied person who moans and whinges and whines about why their life didn't go somewhere, carrying them on the back of my vote. I'll
Right.
do it for a point for the greater good. But the collective consciousness of Black people in this country have to come together to maintain the gains and create more gains. It's not going to happen overnight. As we mentioned last week, a lot of us just went back to sleep after we vote. This is an active situation, and it will be for probably the rest of our lives.
Yeah,
Okay.
and remember, if it's not, if the road to 270 is like Joe Biden at 270 and Trump at 258, remember, he put that woman in the Supreme Court on purpose.
Okay, all right. Now you just to you're reading my alleged mind here about the two votes that were just 2 days ago about. I think what they had to do with Pennsylvania. I think one of them had to do with Pennsylvania. I don't know if there was and she abstained because she did not feel she knew enough to
Right.
put her vote in.
Right.
I would have loved to seen 45's reaction on that.
She doesn't know enough, period. She's never even tried a case. She's never
Yeah.
tried a case. This woman came out of nowhere.
Well, the thing
Basically,
is
she's a pencil pushing scholar.
if
Amy Coney Barrett, that's
yeah,
her name.
if things were supposed to go as they should, and we got to that situation where Joe Biden was at 270 and Trump was at like a 258, 260, and Trump contested the count, you would think that the three justices who were on the Bush Gore, law, who were on the Bush side of the Bush Gore legal case would recuse themselves. You would think that they would,
but Kavanaugh has already
won't.
put a caveat in there.
They won't. Exactly.
Yeah.
But
And
Kavanaugh
Kavanaugh kind of showed his ass about what they're slowly moving. It was like, okay, he puts in this little clause and caveat about it, but then Pennsylvania came back, or Vermont actually came back and kicked back at him about how they've been handling their voting. And so that was a very interesting exchange. It was like, I'm going to check you. That's what Vermont did. Right. So, and that's Bernie's town. So it was like, no, you can't. It just amazes me how you have a Supreme Court judge referencing something in a document, right? And he's wrong about the law. He was wrong. So either he deliberately put it in there, or he just doesn't know. And that's why we've got incompetent people also on the Supreme Court. And I am behind changing that, because I actually think everything Trump downgrades everybody. They're basic. They're so freaking basic people. They're just basic.
Well, here's something to be afraid of.
They're not exceptional people.
Well, here's something to be afraid of, because if Trump wins that night, if they hold the Senate, okay, you got to remember too, the House, every seat in the House is up. Don't forget that, because we could lose House seats. We have to maintain the House, and hopefully add more seats.
Yep.
But should it all go red, we run into the problem that they will try to federalize voting. Okay. As it stands now, voting is controlled by the states. Every state, and that is what makes Trump so mad right now, because he can't control. He can't have the federal government control how voting is regulated in all 50 states, because every state has its own laws to how they control the voting in their states. But you could best believe that would be the first thing that he would change.
Totally. And then that's how he would become king and dictator and pass it on to whoever he wanted to. That's what would happen ultimately. And democracy would be no more. It's that close.
Well, I'll tell you, and I'd like to say thank you for everyone who's watching live. There's a lot of comments going on in the comment section. Keep them coming. We're going to be sharing them in real time. Jill's favorite fan has another question. 45 has all but encouraged a civil war if he's not reelected. Do you believe Americans are prepared for significant civil unrest?
Black
Yeah,
folks are.
I think we are. Yeah.
Black folks are.
And I think they'll be surprised how many of us are.
Mm.
We just
All
don't
right.
flap our gums like
Okay.
some people selling wolf
And
tickets.
Real Django saying, incredible, a person 45 puts on the Supreme Court hasn't any experience. That should never be allowed.
No, it shouldn't. But you got to remember that a lot of the justices that they put on the federal state courts, on the lower courts, have no experience.
Right.
They were people that the bar association was saying were inexperienced. They couldn't. The bar association were like,
yeah, even D&I Ratcliffe has no experience. He was a joke. So I don't know anymore.
well, you got to
So
remember the majority of people in Trump's administration don't have the
have no
experience for the
experience.
jobs
They
that they
don't.
do. I mean,
So
I still understand to this day why Ben Carson was not attorney. I mean, it was not like
medical.
attorney,
Secretary of Health,
yeah, Surgeon General.
Surgeon General. Yeah.
And he's over HUD. He's over HUD because he's black. Let's be honest.
Yeah, because and then he tried to buy a $40,000
table
conference table. Like, ain't that something? It was like.
So with the campaigning in the last few days of the Biden and 45, I get a sense, because I like to say that 45 is desperate.
Yeah, if you have to campaign 5 times a day, he has to hold, think about this, he's holding 5 events a day in different states. He is desperate because, think about it, this man waited to the last minute to actually campaign.
I don't know if he waited. I think he's blown. I think he did get a little shook that somebody said, yo, it's not looking so good. And then because his ego's so involved, he's like, I'm going to do five rallies a day. I mean, that's how crazy he is. He's just like that. No plan. He thinks he can save the ship.
Can it work?
No, because he's not going to places that are competitive. He's going, for example, like when he went to Florida, he went to the section of Florida that would always vote for him anyway. When he went to Nebraska, he went to that one part of Nebraska that has the one vote, and it was usually a Republican stronghold. So he's not going anywhere to pick off that 3% that Jill mentioned earlier that is undecided.
So basically,
and that's what he needs to do.
Joe, follow me up on this. Is the thought, try to get in 45's mind, you especially, that's a fun one. Do you feel his thought process is, I'm going to hold on to what I got and count on as many people who are going to come out for me and not even try to woo any sort of independence? He's just holding on to
I don't think he's trying to woo anybody. They've actually come out and said that he does not have the independence. And what's really crazy is we've never had a presidency where they have not had the independence. He had them last time in 2016, but he doesn't have them like he did before. That is this because Joe Biden, whereas Hillary was a little polarizing, actually people do like Joe Biden. They feel that, all of these attempts now, they're starting to look really like Keystone Cops with, missing a document and sending things about Hunter Biden. It's been a joke online constantly, the ribbing that he's taking in, but he is going to try to cheat, which is incredibly important that we get really high margins of people out there. And as it gets closer, he will get more desperate, and he could quite possibly start trying to incite his people to create violence. That, back to Galen commenting about that. If he gets desperate enough, he'll have people pretend to be lined up in a line to vote and start shooting at people. I mean, it wouldn't surprise me.
All he has to do is suggest it. The thing that bothers me, or that is perplexing to me, is that I'm amazed that he hasn't suggested to his people to wear masks, because how are they going to get into these polling places that will require masks to vote.
Exactly.
He's already going to cut his people who vote for him like by a third.
I mean, you're right, but that could be part of the strategy to create chaos and pandemonium. However, that because, we all know that Donald Trump is the bully that we all knew at school, who was the little rich, snotty kid who never fought his own battles. But, it's just like David and Goliath. He's not too big to fall. He just isn't. And I believe that if we keep the collective energy focused on Biden and we really keep our sending out these vibes, I think we can do this and we will topple his ass down.
Yeah, one of the things that's bothering
it's going to be a trip.
Yeah.
I'm not going to lie, but COVID and his lack of responsibility. The other day he said, we're not going to do anything else about it. I'm sorry, that's not good enough for me. He came out and said that it's done. He told people today that you're immune from COVID now for, he said, almost a year or 6 months.
Wow.
And we know for a fact that just a test came out just the other day saying that they really think the immunity for it only is no more than 3 or 4 months. And that's it. I mean, it's like he actually looks at something and plays the opposite game. I'm not even joking. Like, how can I just screw this up? And sometimes I often think he does that because you guys know I've always said he's too smart with his words. He knows what he's saying. I think he wants to create new talking points and new narratives. But ain't nobody like tripping anymore on some of the stuff he says because we know that he's trying to get us off something.
He promised his crowd today, though, that they would get the same treatment that he got.
Right.
Let's just put it this way. He is not laying down truffles anymore. Okay. It's like when you take a pig out and they're looking for stuff and looking for, if you want to get a dog off scent, put a truffle somewhere and it'll take them off of whatever they were looking for because truffles are really strong. He ain't laying truffles no more.
So Galen says it began with the news that COVID would negatively impact his re-election chances. We also have from Twitter, God forbid 45 lose and refuse to concede. I believe our country will unite and protest all colors.
I do too.
I think that he's going to refuse to concede even if he loses by 100 votes. I really
to
do.
The very last vote.
I think that he's going to refuse to concede regardless because that's going to be the wave that his supporters are going to ride him on. He's going to be like, yeah, he was a rebel until the end. So I don't think he'll ever concede. And there's no requirement in our laws that say that they have to concede.
It's almost like Nero watching Rome burn.
Yeah. Absolutely. But they want every vote counted by, that's this argument. We want the vote counted by the third. That's never happened. And let's be honest, someone was referencing, there was a time when it's not even in the Constitution about that, because let's be honest, back in 1790, how long did it take okay, Aisha, I'm in California, you're back in Connecticut. How long is it going to take me and my horse to ride over to tell you what happened in the election over here? How long? Tell me, please. So, I think we can wait for those votes to be counted based upon that.
Well, here's the other thing, too. You got to remember, again, our elections are not run by the federal government. They're run by the states. So every state has a law as when they count and certify.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but still, my Pony Express would not get there in the middle of the night to take, it's like, let's really, that was never changed or amended inside with a time frame of like,
that's why it was never in the Constitution.
It just means your behind is out. They figured that a couple months, get your ass pack up and you should be out by January. Okay. Right. Bye.
So I'm just going to jump in here. Galen, I put up on the screen, asked, how is 45 viewed in Canada? The large majority of Canadians want nothing to do with him. They don't think he's a good leader, and they have huge concerns about the future. Well, your America right now, and even deeper concerns if he wins again. They feel that they really don't. And like some Canadians have told me, 45 wanted to build a wall, has building his wall, alleged wall with Mexico. Some Canadians say we should build a wall with the United States. Enough said.
Dr. Vibe, what's really interesting, I have been working on this immigration website, which everybody knows. And so it ticks where I was calling different embassies and things to find out what the process was for Americans that will choose. Well, I think I have a few friends who work at different embassies. They are in anticipation of people leaving should he win. However, here's the funny thing. Most of them seem to be updating their rules. Updating and revising. I mean, it's like, really, how interesting, because I kind of got the feeling that they're not that keen on a bunch of Americans coming. And there's going to be a different set of criteria headed in those locations. It is not as friendly as it was. He polarized American citizens so much from our allies that it's really of no real value for us to be in their country.
It's not on our conversation piece tonight, but I want to get your quick commentary, because yes, you're talking things from a Black American lens, but what impact will the largest minority group in America have in this election? Hispanic Americans.
Well, that's going to be yet to be seen, because there's so many more Hispanic Americans registered to vote this go around. So until the actual tally is out there, we won't know what the impact is, because it seems like they're so divided along generational lines, especially when you have the people who came from, I think I said this last week, you had the people who are older who came from countries like Cuba and Venezuela, who are socialist run countries. And then you have Donald Trump shouting, "Oh, Joe Biden's a socialist, socialist, socialist." And they remember what that was. So they run as far away from it, and they run to him. And then you have the younger ones, and you have quite a few younger ones who don't speak Spanish, which was something interesting that was mentioned on a show I was watching. I can't remember, but you have a lot of the younger ones who are more progressive and into more, and a lot of them were into burning.
They were
joining.
Ones.
Yeah, a lot of them were into Bernie and joining. And one of the things that I want to say is that we have to also, there is a Bernie factor. We've got to mention that could come up and bite Democrats in the behind, because I've seen quite a few Bernie people talking about they're going to cast a vote for Trump again, like happened in the last election. We can't have that.
I mean, I think that Bernie's done a fabulous job trying to convince people that he is involved. And a lot of this stuff is semantics, like, oh, they're not going to use Bernie's healthcare or whatever. First of all, if we don't get the Senate, we ain't using nobody's healthcare. But, it's very simple. It's not just the president's responsibility. If you want a dictator, then vote for Trump. You will have everything that he decides that you have. The interesting thing with the Hispanics, as I mentioned before, there's a lot of different hierarchies. There's a lot of split, cultural shifts happening because of the young people who are American kids, and they have their own set of values and how they want to see things moving forward. I think I follow this one group called We Are Me Too, MITU, which they've been doing a lot of digging about what's been going on at the borders and about the 700 missing women that the attorneys still have not been able to locate where these women went. Some of them were unwell, they were sick. These attorneys went to go and have these interviews with their clients, and they were gone. And that doesn't even cover the 545 kids who were missing their parents. And then it doesn't even cover the 2,500 children that got placed in foster care. So we know of, but they don't have a list of where these kids are. We don't know if they're being trafficked. We don't know who they're with. We will pay as a country one day when these kids grow up and tell their horror stories about what happened in America. And a lot of people are going to have to sit around and act all, these faux pearl clutching moments. But with the young Hispanic kids, it's just them deciding to either separate from their familial obligations to really going out there and paving a way. Because if young kids play their cards right, it may not happen now that it's a totally progressive cabinet, but it will be, because it's like you kick the old folks to the curb, and I'm an old folk. Kick me to the curb. I mean, no, really, it's like you cannot let those little nepotism, little rich kids beat your asses. You need to go out there and be like, you know, the ones who get all the internships at the cool companies and everything because their mommy and daddy know somebody. This is like for real. And, you know, you got to think like you're in the French Revolution.
Yeah.
All right.
And I think it's good though
that
I think it's good too that Biden he came up with a plan to try and at least try and get an office in the Oval Office to deal with the 545 children who are missing their parents and how to find their parents, how to identify where they came from. That is a good starting point to deal with that one issue.
But you know what? Just before we go to the next topic, you're right to mention that the Biden-Harris campaign has already been doing these little pods and forums. While he's out there campaigning, there have been so many forums. The young lady, KJ X, the one that I posted the other day in Kansas City, she was a part of a forum that the Biden campaign has been having with the restructuring, because this is a reconstruction of our country that's happening. I know people have gotten really hung up on defund the police, dismantle, whatever. This is actually the proper word is we're in a reconstruction era all across the board, just as human beings. I mean, at one point we had the Industrial Revolution. Now we trickled down and here we are. It's another reconstruction. And it's very, very imperative that people look at it that way, because the only people that are going to win in this are the people that know that you have to progress and not be afraid of the future. You know, we've got people who act like they're still afraid of fire.
All right, we've got a lot more things to cover, and Jill does such good ways of ending topics. Like she just drops the knowledge on us, and we're moving on with this comment, you know. Again, thanks to everyone who's watching live. Thank you. We got a lot of people watching and participating on all platforms, Facebook, Periscope, and YouTube Live. Thank you so much on behalf of all of us. Next conversation, but we're still staying on the election. The plot to invalidate as many ballots as possible.
Yeah, and this comes with the counting of the ballots, like the day after the election, and Trump not wanting. And I think I don't think it's going to have as much an impact on the presidential as it will on the Senate races and the down ballot races, because those are the ones that got like Stacey Abrams and Andrew Gillum when they were trying to run for governorship. Like Stacey Abrams losing by what was it, like
a handful, literally.
Yeah, like 1,000 votes or so.
Yeah, it was crazy.
Yeah, and so those invalidating votes, invalidating ballots, that's going to really affect those down ballot races. And I think that those tend to have a little bit longer counting time to count those ballots. And I think that's why you'll see it depends on who is counting them. Because remember, Kemp was in charge of counting ballots.
It was the craziest
thing.
The
election that he was running in.
The fox in the hen house.
Exactly. And so I think you'll see that more because people are aware that Trump is going to try and steal this election. The spotlight is shining more on him. So I don't think it will affect the presidential as much as it'll affect the Senate on down.
I agree. I think we touched a little on it that, you know, we know that they're going to just do whatever they can. I mean, short of maybe they're going to abduct somebody carrying the votes out. I don't know. But whatever, I'm not trying to give people ideas. It's at that point. We're not dealing with rational minded people, and they're not patriots. They're not. I've never considered myself a patriotic person, but when I look at what's on the other side, I guess I am, because the reality is, if I saw anybody pulling the stunts that this man has been pulling, it's just kind of like, are you kidding? And what's been so shocking is that they've devalued the Constitution so much that it's almost not worth the paper that it's actually written on. I mean, it's absolute insanity that we have to fight for that. It sounds crazy. And it's also, I just feel that with the ballot counting, and expect anything, and particularly expect conservative media to be ramming it down your throat that there's some deep, dark conspiracy going on. But here's the deep, dark conspiracy. Donald Trump and his cronies, they are the deep state that they talk so much about. It's them.
Right.
They've actually created it. They did it right under their stupid people's noses. They are the deep state, and they're in every single vein of our agency, of our government. They're in law enforcement. They're in all of our judiciary. They're everywhere. And as I've said, the senators that don't make any money and the Congress people, those ones are the sickest lapdogs, like the Tim Scotts and those people, because they ain't got no money compared to their friends, and they'll do anything to earn a position. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, and you're going to see that this attempt to invalidate ballots is going to start. It already started with Trump saying that the election was rigged. It's rigged if he doesn't win. So he already started talking about the mail-in ballots and the absentee ballots, and trying to exert confusion between mail-in and absentee, which they're virtually the same. Different states just call it something different. You're going to see it really big starting probably tomorrow, where you'll have him on Fox all the time between now and election day. You'll have all his surrogates going on Fox between now and election day, and they will just keep trying to plant that bug in the ear of their constituents, who will be all over social media talking about, the election's rigged, this and this and this. And so it'll really be to create a message for his voters, his supporters, that the election is not valid. So it won't affect anybody. I don't think it'll affect anyone else. It'll just go to affect his supporters, and get them riled up enough. But I don't think anything else will come of it, at least at the top.
I mean, let's just be honest. It sounds like he's never even gone to vote in person. When he made a sense like go and monitor and walk around and see what's happening. When he said that, I was like, dude, have you ever gone and voted in person? Because
there is video of him attempting to do it, but he couldn't vote, so they gave him the absentee ballot.
Right, because the deal was like, you can't walk around like that. It's just like, it just sounded so crazy. I don't know when he ever really voted other than sending his stuff in by mail. And to be honest with you, he shouldn't have really been voting in Florida anyway. That was actually he should not be his absentee. No, he doesn't even file his taxes, that we know where the hell he lives. I don't know. There's just something. What can we say? He just spits out whatever fire comes back, and it's time for us to put water on it. Yeah, because I'm damn tired of him.
All right.
Joe Biden actually had the best political commercial. If you want to shut Donald Trump up, it was a circle, and it was talking like from all Trump's mouth, and then you just took somebody with a black marker and just filling it out until
it was cool,
completely black, and then it said Joe Biden next to it.
Yeah, it was actually like a ballot ad. It was
a really good ad.
All right. So comment here. You first side saying only one voting place. That's got to stop. Very true. And another question from the Jill Jones fan club. How significant is 44's impact on this election?
Ooh. I think that he actually brought it's like the band got back together, he he kind of brought the memory of the Obama Biden things. I saw people out in some of these rallies that they had with holding the old Obama Biden
Yeah,
stickers and stuff.
you're
So
right.
people
Hmm.
people loved, remember, people loved their relationship. You have to remember that, because people always talked about the Obama Biden bromance.
Yeah,
People
it was
loved
kind of like, I feel like when I saw him, I should sing Rod Stewart's "When We Were Young," when we were young. Like, it was nostalgic and comforting, and it actually, how did we get so far here? Like, how did we get here? And
yeah.
who are we? It's like we've all cave people. I'm like, I'm not used to myself this way. I'm like, he is just taking me all out myself. I don't
Yeah.
like it. I resent Trump that this happened to me. I resent that I have to fight so hard against a pig like him. I hate that. I hate that he's made people that I look at my enemy. I don't like that. I don't like waking up every day. He robs us of our free time, of our good times, of our family times, because his energy. I can't stand his energy. We were supposed to evolve and elevate. We're decent people. We may not all agree, but it was tolerable then. Now it's not. He unearthed the, like, it was like Sleepy Hollow and just unearthed every nasty thing he could find. I mean, it's like it, but when you look at it, the collective of where we were headed with, on a level of, like, we had TV shows that were supporting that nonsense. Fox had his TV show called Lucifer. I mean, it was ripe for the picking, ripe, been set up for a long time. We, as human beings, need to change what our indulgences are and what we entertain, because we entertain into our lives. And he's a spook, and he's got to go. We did that. We allow certain entertainment purposes. They did a whole interesting thing about him picking songs on his tour, and I'm so glad you said nostalgic, Aisha. Where the Rolling Stones has been played, um, Leonard Skinner, all of these things. If you listen, the Beatles, so you're listening to the lyrics, most of us do, and it has nothing to do with Donald Trump, YMCA. Why are you picking that song? Well,
Oh,
the
he's got
truth
left.
is, no, it has nothing. Those people, this should be a wake up call for people in the music business. Nobody's listening to the lyrics. That was pure nostalgia. That's why they've been doing that, because those were supposed to be the good old days. But remember, those good old days and those bands making that support nothing that he stands for. So he co-ops everybody. He makes everybody filthy dirty, so that I'll probably never be able to listen to a Rolling Stones album again without thinking of that monster. I mean, he corrupts everything he touches. It's like somebody walks into your house and they're oily as what, and all your furniture, they sit around and they grease up your sofa, and it's just, you got to, that
Yeah.
is why you've got to look at this embodiment of who he is. And I really hope we're all getting back to our senses. He's not funny. His show wasn't good. It was fake. None of those people ever worked on a building. I don't even think he knows how to read an architect's plan. I mean, it's all smoke and mirrors, and America needs to get out of its behind with worshiping celebrities and having them be leaders. They're not.
Yeah, and I think more people are waking up to that worshiping of celebrities thing, because I keep seeing a lot of uh, tweets about, celebrity culture is over. I think that's the one
Hashtag
thing.
post celebrity. I'm
Yep,
all
I
for
think
it.
that's the one thing that this quarantine has shown people, because we've gotten to see celebrities really just lose it, because they're not getting the attention that they're used to, especially like with touring and TV and award shows and all that,
Exactly.
red carpet stuff, and a lot of them are showing who they really are. But as far as 44, Barack
Oh, yeah.
Obama, was very, he was very metered in terms of how he dealt with Trump early on, when Trump
Hmm.
was president. He took that stand like most presidents do, that I'm not going to interfere in the new president's you know stuff, and I'm not going to say anything about the new president. He held that in as long as he could. because he just went all out. And
Yeah, he's gone for him.
he's like, you know what? This dude came for me. I'm tired of it. And now he's coming for the country. So
But
I just gotta,
people do say that he is the reason still from that correspondence dinner when Trump decided to run.
yeah.
So I'm still waiting on brother Obama to just get a few more in because, but I do feel that he's been very careful and respectful not to take away completely from Joe's campaign because on one level, he's not going to be running it with him, which is another, oh, Barack Obama is going to be running the country, a black man. Oh, everybody's freaking out. Let's be honest. I mean, I think he's been amazing. And he's basically laid out stuff and talked about some of Donald Trump's rationale or lack of rationale.
Yeah.
And when Obama does that, it's kind of a gift that keeps on giving because Obama was an aspirational concept, his family as well. He was aspirational. I mean, he has made me aspire, he and Michelle, to be better people, to tune in more to my family and all of that, and still have good work ethics, all of the above. Donald Trump has made people egregious, angry, insufferable, whiny, moany, entitled, feel, considering it's, a dude who got $1 million from his dad, which was the equivalent of $401 million today. This freak sat up there and said, yeah, I started out with a small amount of money. 1 million back in the 70s was the equivalent of $401 million today. Yeah. That ain't small.
Yeah. And you know what? I'll say this too about Barack Obama's message for Joe Biden has been good because it's been like, I know Joe better than anybody. If anybody knows how he's going to do in this job, I know it. Donald Trump doesn't have anybody to vouch for him. Joe Biden has Barack Obama, and Barack Obama is still everybody's favorite president. And
he's just a good man, and I know people want to talk about, well, he bombed here and he blew up whatever. Excuse me, we don't know what Trump is doing. Honestly, we can barely get the correct numbers on COVID. Trump's been bombing a lot. Let me tell you, people, he's been bombing a lot more than you think he has. So, don't be so sure. I can't even believe that what he's pulled with Turkey and the Kurds, I'm still pissed about that. And I still cannot believe how even Armenians could dare support Trump when everybody knows his relationship with the Turks, as well as most of his business partners were from Kazakhstan and Turkey, the ones that got arrested for child molestation and got off, sex trafficking. There's a whole long list, it's like with Donald Trump, everybody tries to act like he just bumped into the wrong room and he didn't need to be there. No, he was the one who is so involved in all of it. I'm tired. If your stories are too elaborate, it's a lie. And if you got to make too many excuses for a man, then you and I both know that he ain't worth.
Go on to our next story. And this was an interesting one. Interesting, par for the course these days. Some registered Democrats in Florida received a threatening email last Tuesday with the subject line, quote, vote for 45 or else, unquote, from an email address that appears to be associated with another one of Jill's favorite groups, the Proud Boys.
I'm going to call them the Poor Boys. Just quickly, we know when D&I Ratcliffe spoke the other day, our national intelligence director, who was a representative of Texas, like yesterday, appointed by Trump. Basically, he changed the transcript. It was not worded to incorporate, when he made his speech the other day, it was not worded to include, he was talking about Iran and Russia had been hacking in and they got voters information and they were going to be trying all sorts of stuff. They failed to follow up on the Proud Boys situation. It always turns into somebody else when they're deflecting that voters were being threatened by email. And secondly, they're trying to create this appearance that, we're being hacked, and Iran, and all of that stuff. And, okay, we know that people can send emails, and we live in a country where all of our voting information, it's funny, the PACs, we don't know who they are, those donors, but with our voting, you can get all of our private information. That's just America. Anybody can buy it, just so people know. You got enough money, you can buy all the voter information. So I could get a email from somebody across the world in Indonesia if they bought it. So the DNI, Ratcliffe, and everybody just sort of set it up, this whole sinister thing going on. And yet again, for me, what infuriated me the most is that they still fail to address the white supremacists, and they allow them free reign to do anything they want. And they throw another, monkey wrench into the narrative and try to change it. So that's just as an alert for everybody. Anybody can get your voter information, but I would almost say that the people hacking into our stuff right now, we know that our hospitals are being hacked at the moment across the nation, which sadly Trump is taking all the oxygen out of that topic, but it probably has to do with Trump as well, because the numbers for COVID have gone missing and scattered. So that's connected. Everything is connected to him. I'm sorry, all of it. But we are being hacked by our own internally. It's the people here. It's his people. They are dismantling our country.
And I bet you they didn't even hack.
People.
I bet you they didn't even hack. I bet you they just bought it.
Right. You send emails and go, don't do this. Yeah.
And this is the thing about it, is that DNI Ratcliffe tried to say that it was a plot done to hurt Trump, which surprised Christopher Wray and the other guy, because that wasn't on the notes in the speech that they saw. That was something that he just happened to add. And what makes no sense is, how could it hurt Trump if it was telling people to vote for Trump? That hurts Biden. It made no sense whatsoever.
None. They're getting really bad with their lies and their games. And it really is like, after a while, it's like, no, I didn't do it. He did it. Next thing you know, Donald Trump will be saying, DNI Radcliffe is working for Joe Biden. Yeah. I mean, that's just how it goes. And we know that. And after a while, it's like, I've just checked out.
But they're getting really desperate, because I've gotten 3 emails from Trump supporters.
They're getting it from our Facebook, by the way. That's how I figured out, because I have one special email account only associated with Facebook. Remember, I kept going, how am I getting all this Trump stuff? It's through Facebook, obviously. They bought the data.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. We're going to move forward, but just some more comments here from the president of the Joe Jones fan club. He's talking about the Barack Obama. That's what real leaders do. They inspire people to want to achieve something great.
Absolutely.
There you go. And he has a question. I know both of you will love this one. What do you anticipate to be the fates of Mitch McConnell, or they call him #Moscow Mitch, and Lindsey Graham?
I think that Turtle will probably win, but I don't think that he will last very long. He's sick. Something is physically wrong with him. He is ill.
I saw there was a picture and they showed his
hands are necrosis. They're turning into necrosis. He's turning.
Somebody
I don't know.
tweeted that if his hand gets any blacker, he won't let it vote.
That is so wrong. Oh, I actually think he's having a problem.
I didn't hear that.
I get a vibe that when he fell and hurt his shoulder, that he's having a blood clotting situation, and they can't get that Coumadin right. I've had that situation, but I didn't look like that. I think that they're having a problem when you get older too with getting the balance of it. But there's something definitely wrong. Yeah, it's pretty bad.
Lindsay's toast.
Miss Lindsay, yeah, she might have to go back to making some mint juleps for her friends and cry her eyes out that night. I hope so.
And sitting on the plantation porch.
You see what you've done now, Aisha? You see? Yes, you're the blank disturber now with Jill now, making Jill now. This segment's your fault, right? All right. Just as long as you know that, all right? As long as you know that. All right. Let's move on to the next conversation piece. Miles Taylor, who has revealed he was the anonymous senior Trump administration, I said that, senior 45 official, who wrote 2018 New York Times op-ed explains why he lied and asked if he was, quote, anonymous, unquote, on CNN in August. This is really interesting. And the timing of it. Very, very interesting. Who wants to jump in on this first?
Well, he's got an anonymous Twitter account, like called, I think he is Angry Staffer on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken, because that was the account that kept saying, oh, it was going to reveal who they were and who Anonymous was and all that other stuff. And that they had quit, and they quit around the time that Miles Taylor did. And I think that the lie. Why the lie? I don't get it. It's like the moment that he came out and said that, he was defecting from Trump, he might as well just said it then. You know what I mean? What were they going to do? What was it going to do?
I think that we have to get to the point where they didn't say anything when it was important, and they didn't have the courage or integrity, because it could have played out where they could have created a windfall and other people really addressing and coming out while there was the opportunity to destroy his credibility and really shine a light or tape him, find the most heinous stuff you can. But for me to lift up these people and even trust they're coming out now, I don't. It was like John Bolton. It's like they try to play both ends against the middle, which I find I'd almost respect you more if you sink and go down in the ship, coming out midstream, trying to paddle out when you were a part. Really, you think he's trying to exonerate himself like he didn't do anything. Your presence, dude, in that situation created an energy and a vacuum and a silo, all of it. You helped. Now, you may have not liked it. There are nurses who have to clean somebody's behind every day. They don't like it, but they're a part of that situation. You're not a part of it until you leave it, but you can't leave halfway and then come out. And, we're supposed to be like, oh, poor you. How'd you get through it? Oh, my God. It was like, no. These people are not to be trusted or looked upon on any type of way. Then they're just looking to put out some kind of book, which is fine. Put out a book. But they're pretty despicable people. They're despicable, too. Otherwise, the whole point is only despicable people attract Donald Trump. That's it. You attract the people around you. And that says everything. Good people don't attract a person like Donald Trump in their lives. Yeah. A good-hearted person, people who, that's not how this goes in the law of attraction. Good people don't find a Donald Trump in their life.
The question is,
happy people don't either.
Yeah. The question is, what did he feel he had to lose at that time? And that will tell you why he didn't do it.
And to be honest, do you think the letter actually really rattled the cage enough? I don't think it did.
Exactly. No.
He still was getting a paycheck.
Yeah. Talking about there's people on the inside trying to protect us on the outside from the worst of Trump. Well, you mean to tell me there's far worse than what we've seen?
That's how he consoled himself and how he could sleep at night every time he took that money. You see, that's one thing Donald Trump does know about the people that he works with, that they're equally as dirty as he is. That's why he'll have you around. He knows what a capacity of avarice and greed. He knows how to hold it in front of their face.
Yeah. Well, he just played his credibility for filth. It's like
Mm-hmm.
CNN is trying to decide what to do with him now because CNN had him as a an analyst. They hired him as an
Now,
analyst, and so they're trying to decide what to do with him now.
They don't need to
Um,
decide. They need to get rid of him
well,
because
they're
he
going to get
can't
rid
be
of him.
trusted.
The thing what? Remember they kept Van Jones, and Van Jones didn't disclose that he had helped Trump come up with the crime bill. So they might
Yeah,
keep him around.
yeah, why? So, Aisha, you're reading my mind, going, "What's happened to Van?"
I thought that
Oh,
too. You know,
well,
they talk out of both sides of their mouths, out of their neck.
will we see him on the night of the election on CNN? You think?
Oh
Of
yeah,
course,
for
and that's why I
sure.
will not watch CNN. I can't
Yeah,
stand
no,
Van
I do.
Jones.
I don't do them. I'm kind of over CNN. I browse through it and watch what I want, but
Yeah,
no, I'm not like digging his vibe
All
because
right.
he's back and forth.
he
Yes.
can't make up his mind.
Virgos. I have a lot of Virgos pissed off. Virgo men.
Oh, why you'd go there, Jill D? Come on now. All right. So here is our last conversation topic for the night. The 7.4% GDP growth numbers of the U.S. economy. And I saw your friend 45 was tweeting a mad storm today with these numbers. Uh, your thoughts and how much of an impact will this have in the final days of the election?
Well, he's
Yeah.
lucky that his constituents are too dumb to understand that it's not true. That it's an annual look at how they structured those numbers, because they're neglecting that in Q2 we went down 9%. Right, we went down about another 9. Then you have to take into account that 68% of the growth was basically based upon what things? The stimulus and unemployment. So even if you take away the 33% and then put a gain of 33 on top of that, based upon the numbers in the statistics, you still come away with negative 11%. So it's so interesting that the way that they worked it out, when I was looking at it, they don't, it's called creative financing and artful financing. You see, this is where Donald Trump is a master of. In fact, this is what his operating agreements look like. Most likely, it's what his tax terms and all of that look like, how they've got it structured. This is called creative financing. And to get to the bottom of it, you have to, I mean, they didn't even factor in what our exports are doing with China. So, and then this promotion of shop, 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 shop. You remember they did that with 9/11. But these numbers with our growth of 7.4, even if I don't do the calculation of the 33% and take into the 4 quarters, we still come away with the fact that we had a 9% drop in Q2, and we're still not any better for it. So it's all about the fact that American people should be learning civics in school and a little bit of economics.
Yeah. I
A
mean,
lot.
I don't think it's going to help him at all. I don't. It's
It
one
sounds
more
good.
number. It sounds good. It's one more number to throw out there to his base,
Right.
but at this point, he's um he's not going to win on the economy, and he can't even talk about the stock market because it's what negative 924 something like that. So
Exactly.
at this point, he can't win on the economy.
And the only ones making gains right now, or actually who've been killing it, are Amazon and Facebook. Their earnings are legit, but their stocks aren't moving. Like it's very weird. So we have a problem here. In fact, if they wanted to hire a businessman who could, maybe they wanted, why didn't they go after Jeff Bezos? Because that's the man. I mean,
Well,
for real.
That's
it's
Trump's enemy.
it's interesting you
Yeah, but
mentioned
he's the
Philippa.
one who could take on. Yeah, sorry, Dr. Bennett.
No, it's all right. It's interesting you mentioned companies like Facebook and that on the stock exchange. 40% of the wealth of the New York Stock Exchange is held by just those type of companies. But the 40% of the wealth only employ about 13% of the employees in the United States.
Exactly, which is crazy. And a lot of people are not understanding that.
And just generalize, like, the difference between Wall Street and Main Street. It's just such a huge gap.
Well, the biggest employer in the country is Walmart.
Yeah, exactly. And
I know.
There you go.
The majority of Americans are working at Walmart.
And then the majority of Americans like to shop at this. I mean, we kind of get back what we give. Why do we keep buying from companies that, don't treat their employees well? I mean, it really says so much about us just as people that we have no ethics and we have no fortitude or integrity to stand behind anything. That's why a snake could slither in and charm everybody. I've heard a lot of people go, I'm voting with my pocketbook and my stocks and my 401k. And I was like, well, hey, that's great that your 401k is doing well, but a lot of people's 401ks are not doing well. Today, I had a friend tell me that they were back to the principal of their stock that they invested all the way back. That's a lot. And I notice a lot of people right now have been playing games online, lotto. They've been playing slot machine stuff. They've been doing all this stuff, China-based, by the way. They've also, just to make money. Yeah. People don't have money. Mitch McConnell cut bait on the Senate, and they're out of there. We have people trying to cut the SNAP program. They will be cutting off ACA, our Affordable Care Act, November 10th. That's what that little blonde new hussy that got into Supreme Court is going to work on.
Yep, that's also when Mitch McConnell's bringing back the Senate.
And on the 4th, there is or around that time too, a religious discrimination thing that the Supreme Court will be reviewing with the LGBTQ. So we have some things that you really want to know what Trump is trying to do. He's going to gut the fish no matter what. It just means, is he going to do it mercifully or mercilessly?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing.
Are you going to be alive to feel it, or will you be dead?
Well, here's the thing. A second term Trump is going to be bad. A lame duck Trump
is going to be bad. Oh, Lord, help us.
We're gonna stop it there because we gotta save our energy because we got a big night coming up next week.
Right, we do.
So I think we're gonna stop it right there. But as usual, ladies, thanks for hitting it out of the park as usual.
Thanks.
Epic as usual. So before we let you go, we got 3 last questions. First question on the screen. Will the Republicans hold on to the Senate?
I don't think so. I really don't think so.
I don't think they will. I don't.
Next question. Will the Democrats hold on to the House of Representatives?
Not sure. We always seem to screw it up when it comes to that. It's like, that's a toss-up for me. Honestly, you, Aisha?
I think we'll hold on to it. I don't know that we'll pick up seats.
Right.
And then the crystal ball. Who do you think will be the next American president? 45 or Biden?
Joe Biden.
Joe's going to be our next president.
Okay, so just additional question. Will that be decided on the night of the election?
I think we're going to see it, but I think they're going to freak out and turn it into something else. I think we will get it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But there will be some trauma. Trump trauma, there will be. Either way.
I think you'll see this. Pennsylvania will come in for Joe Biden. Florida will come in for Joe Biden. Once that happens, you're going to see Trump rage tweeting all night because he knows it's over.
I'm not sure about Florida. It's still a toss-up because I just don't think I'm a little concerned about the Spanish people because they've never, they don't care. Maybe they don't care as much about Black Lives Matter. I don't know. I know in theory the younger people, but the older people, we've been fraught with a lot of racism from that angle too. Yeah. So I don't know if they always try to separate themselves from us. Not, it's like they think they're in a better box and they're not. Yeah. So I'm concerned about that.
Okay.
Yeah.
No offense to anybody out there, but that's just kind of the general vibe.
I think that what he might not get in the Latino vote, he will pick up with senior citizens.
I hope so.
Okay. Well, ladies, another epic conversation as always. And I'd like to thank everyone who chimed in. We have some new people, Lone Wool on Twitter, of course, Real Dango, Galen, U4 Sweet. Thank you, everyone who watches live or on replay. Now, I'm going to tell the audience whether you're watching this live, watching on replay, or listening it on replay. Buckle up on November 3rd.
Get a drink. I have it sitting close by.
Jill will have her 6 inhalers.
Yes, by that time.
By that time. We haven't set the time yet, but we will be on definitely on the evening of November 3rd. We'll see how long we're going to be on for, but I would say to people, get a good rest on the Monday and the Tuesday during the day. And we're going to see how long we can have Aisha and Jill on for that evening because they don't watch CNN anymore. They're going to be here. So forget CNN. Come here.
Okay.
Jill, if people want to get in touch with you, how do they do that?
I am on Twitter at Jill D. Jones, or I'm on Facebook, Jill Jones Universe or Jill Jones Music, one of those. And if you want to put on all your TVs and then talk to us and we all talk about this stuff together, that would be really cool.
We're gonna have a party, watch party. Yeah, we're gonna have the election watch party. So please put on your TVs and give us perspectives because I can't be watching TV and doing this. I've got to pay attention to the screen. Yep. So unless I put some monitors up here, someone wants to give some money to donate and rent me some monitors.
And let's play a shot game. Let's think about this. Every time we hear something, we're gonna go, okay, here we go.
Aisha, how can people get a hold of you?
I'm on Twitter at Aisha Staggers, and I will be there later on. I'm still involved in like a 3-day conversation.
Oh my gosh. All right. Well, if you want to get a hold of me, the best place is my website, thedrvibeshow.com. All things Dr. Vibe are there. And as I said, we're looking forward to this conversation on Tuesday night. And Real Django does this. He gives applause to the ladies, as always. Good stuff. I am Dr. Vibe, host and producer of the award-winning Dr. Vibe Show, the home of Epic Conversations. I'm the host of Epic Conversations. I am 2018 Innovation Award winner given out by the Canadian Ethnic Media Association. Also, once a month, I host conversations for fathers that are co-sponsored by Dad Central, Canada's national fatherhood organization, and Dove Men Care. As always, I like to close off with this. Live your life as a dream. If you can dream it, you can make it. Sometimes you have to get smaller, get stronger. Block assumptions, then aim bigger, aim better, aim higher, aim wider. And remember to give yourself grace before November 3rd and after November 3rd. Thank you so much for watching. Again, live, on the replay, or listening on the replay. It's appreciated, not taken for granted. And follow one of us on social media. We will tell you what when we're going to start broadcasting on Tuesday evening. It's going to be a historic night. So be part of history with us. God bless, peace be well. God bless, peace be well. Keep the faith and walk good. Good night, everybody.